Okay, this is another VHS upload. It's probably going to be a long one. This is Newton's Apple. This is, I think, episode 2. Yeah. I don't think anyone else has ever uploaded this. As it might have been taken down. This will just be a test to see if this will stay up. And I don't think it will be taken down because, I don't think anyone's ever really seen this show. Well, I've never seen a full episode on YouTube, so yeah. Also came this little, promotional thing for other PBS videos at the time. Okay, let's go. That sound of putting the VHS in the VCR really makes me feel old.
The program you're about to see is one of many now available from PBS Home Video. Welcome to a world where innovative ideas, challenging concepts, and quality entertainment are the standard. A world that will change the way you look at home video. In the months ahead, PBS Home Video will bring you a wide variety of critically acclaimed programs. Now you can bring home familiar favorites and also discover new ways of looking at the world. Build your video collection with these unforgettable, affordable programs. PBS Home Video gives you the power to enrich your world. For more information and to order PBS Home Video, call 1-800-776-8300.
The following presentation is from PBS Home Video.
Welcome to Newton's Apple. Newton's Apple is made possible by a grant from DuPont, makers of better things for better living. And also by this station and other public television stations. And now your host, science correspondent, Ira Clayton.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome again to Newton's Apple, the program that answers your questions about science, medicine, nature, the world around us. So let's get right to that first question. And today it comes from
Eric Red Edlinger.
Eric, you had an interesting question. Why don't you tell everybody?
How come I feel so bad when I get a sore throat?
Yeah, you get a cold and sore throat. It really feels bad, doesn't it?
Uh-huh.
It hurts me too. Well, that's why we're going to answer that question. And here to do it is Dr. Jan Ophoven, Chief Pathologist at Children's Hospital of St. Paul, Minnesota. Dr. Ophoven, how come a sore throat makes us feel miserable?
If we didn't feel bad when we had an infection, it would mean that our immune system isn't working properly, and that could kill us.
That's sort of like no pain, no gain going on in the immune system, right?
Absolutely. Let me show you. This is a schematic drawing of the immune system, starting with the lymphatics that connects with the lymph glands that cluster in the axilla or the armpit and the groin, the neck, tonsils and adenoids, the spleen, thymus, bone marrow that manufactures important components of the immune system, and the circulatory system that contains the molecular components of our defense system.
It certainly is an extensive system around the whole body, but I want to ask you to try to focus a little bit. Let's take an example. For example, if I get a sore throat, like I have one now, what is the problem with what goes on there to make me feel so terrible, the fever that follows it?
Let me show you.
All right. Oh, we're back to our big head again.
Cross-section of the human head, we are going to have a severe case of beta hemolytic strep tonsillitis,
I beg your pardon?
also known as plain old strep throat.
Okay.
The strep will enter through the nose or the mouth, penetrate through the lining of the mouth cavity. About that point, you're starting to feel raspy, sore. If you look in there, your throat's red.
Right.
If it proceeds into a tonsillitis, we end up with a big, angry, sick tonsil.
Mm-hmm.
Here is a human tonsil.
It looks a lot bigger than I thought it would be.
Well, it wouldn't be out if it wasn't abnormal.
All right.
Let's take a look at it under higher magnification. You can see a close-up of a human tonsil.
Ah, yes.
And what you're seeing here is a grooving and notching on cross-section. It's very irregular, pink color. On a stained cross-section under the microscope, you can see it's got an organized appearance. It's very blue because that's the blue stain of the cells of the lymphoid system. Higher magnification shows you that the cells are of various sizes and are very closely set together. Mm-hmm. Abnormal tonsil, where there's pus and reaction and inflammation, disorganizes that normal tonsillar structure.
Mm-hmm. Well, what is going on inside the tonsil there that creates this hullabaloo that's going on?
Join me in my tonsil.
Join you in your tonsil. Okay. Welcome to my tonsil. Look at this. This is magnificent.
We're entering into a tonsil that is waging a battle of tonsillitis. And all around us are the cells of the inflammatory reaction. And in between these cells is fluid containing very important molecules. It's a complex system interacting together to fight this infection. Here is the culprit, the strep bacteria, represented by these organisms in a chain, which is what they look like underneath the microscope. Here is a polymorphonuclear leukocyte, or a poly as we call it in the business. This cell is responsible for eating and killing the bacteria.
This is one kind of a white blood cell, right?
That's right. After it has done its job and it's eaten many bacteria, the cell will die, and the dead cells become pus, which is represented by this green cell here.
That's what pus is. I see. Dead white blood cells. So keep going.
Plasma cells come into the reaction a little bit later, and they contain abundant amounts of antibody, which helps to kill the bacteria.
Mm-hmm.
Above you there is that dumbbell-shaped cell. That's a macrophage. These are the scavengers, or the garbage truck cells, and they pick up the debris and dead cells, as represented by this fellow over here,
Garbage bin.
This is how he looks underneath the microscope. They're just filled with cellular debris and dead organisms.
Well, it looks like there really is quite a battle going on in here. What does this have to do with us feeling terrible? Is this the battle causing all of this?
What happens is this battle is waging, is we have disrupted cells and parts of the bacteria themselves leak into the vascular system, get to the brain, and causes us to raise our thermostats to a higher level, thus a fever.
So that's what causes the fever. Does the fever help us win the battle? Is there a good reason then why we have a fever?
Absolutely. People who have healthy immune systems get the fever. People with certain kinds of immune deficiencies don't mobilize a fever, and they're in trouble. Mm-hmm. The fever, if you can imagine how bad it makes us feel, it makes the bacteria feel even worse.
Now this is what's going on in the immediate war zone. What about in the planning rooms? Are there any places that are making ready for the next battle that might occur?
Let's take the material that this macrophage has eaten and move it into the next phase of the immune system, which is the lymphoid system. This is
Okay.
the blue part of that tonsil that we were looking at underneath the microscope.
Mhm.
This is the T cells. They're very small, and they're responsible for memory and recognition and enhancement of the immune response. T cells. The B cells are represented here by this large follicle. They're responsible for making antibodies. It's important for all components of this system to work effectively together in order to have a normal immune system.
And you mentioned that the T cells remember from one infection to the other. If they remember this, the previous case of strep throat, in our case, how come we keep getting more cases of strep throat? Aren't we ready for it the next time it comes around?
Well, it may feel like it's the same strep throat because we get the same swollen glands and fever. However, it's a different strep. Just like there's different races of people, there's like different races of strep. And so the T cell system does recognize, but it only recognizes one kind at a time.
That's like getting the common cold. The reason why you get the cold virus over and over again is because it's really a different virus. It's not the same cold virus as you had last time, right?
It's the same principle, although the immune response to a viral infection is very different from that to a bacteria, although the components are the same.
Well, let me just stop on the viruses for 1 minute because I want to talk about the AIDS virus. Now, the AIDS virus causes the whole immune system to break down, and I know there's the T cells are involved. What is going on here with the T cells in AIDS?
With the AIDS infection, the T cell arm of the immune system is disarmed, so to speak, and so recognition of invading organisms does not proceed normally, and therefore they're very vulnerable to infections by normally non-dangerous organisms.
What are some other instances where the immune system is backfiring like this?
Well, unfortunately, a very common one is some kinds of arthritis, where the body recognizes joint tissue as foreign and mobilizes a severe destructive immune response against it. Another case where the immune system is working against us is when we want to transplant a foreign organ into someone. We have here a human kidney. If the immune system is able to mobilize such a raging response to a microscopic strep organism, you can imagine what it would do with a half a pound of kidney.
That's why it takes so much work to get the body to recognize that and accept it, huh?
That's right. That's why we look for compatible donors and why we have to take drugs to help mute certain aspects of the immune system in order so that we don't have a major reaction.
Fascinating. Thank you very, very much, Dr. Frickle. I never realized how complex the immune system was before. I think we all feel a little better now, and we'll be back in just a minute.
Actually reaching speeds up to 70 miles per hour on the top of the course and again down here at the bottom.
An exciting downhill race. It's a showcase for superb athletes and modern engineering technology. While athletes have been training to get the most out of their bodies, engineers have been designing skis to help skiers get the most speed and efficiency possible. Here to help us find the winning edge in skiing is John Howe, consulting engineer and author of the book Skiing Mechanics. Welcome to the program, John.
Hi, Ira.
I'm amazed at how these skiers are able to go down those mountains, remain up on the skis and get down there in record time. What is happening?
Ira, this world-class athlete is really a highly complex system. It's got a brain up here, which is factoring all the speeds and forces and so forth. A highly developed physique, body from years of training, lots of strength, and equipment, which has evolved over the years.
And let's talk about skis, which I think is the most important part. And you brought a whole bunch of interesting-looking skis
We've got a quick
here.
history of ski technology, starting from a ski typical of 2,000 years ago, or probably up to the turn of the century.
Looks just like a piece of wood.
It was a working ski, maybe a doctor or a postman might have it, but it's really kind of floppy and twists easily. And
Can't control that very easily.
No. In about the 30s, people discovered that skiing was fun, and they kind of evolved into recreational skis. But really, the big change came, the revolution came after World War II, when Howard Head was an aircraft engineer and was able to put together aircraft aluminum developed during World War II in a composite sandwich and properly put all the materials together to really make a predictable, highly sophisticated structure. 40 years later, we've evolved into this structure, which is a very modern ski, but it's still basically a sandwich ski where the structural skins are spaced apart by a core, And everything is optimized, the damping. You notice it's very torsionally stiff.
Very stiff.
Has a nice shape to it.
The only similarity, it seems, between this new ski and the real old one here is that they're both long and straight.
That's about it, right.
Well, let's go talk about what the construction of
It's
these
easier
type
to see
skis are.
what's going on inside because I got the pieces and parts. So.
Okay.
These are the important materials which go into most skis today.
I didn't realize you had so many different types of materials. You have metal, looks like wood, a little fiber here.
Yeah, but each one has a very important function to serve. The most important thing is the stiffness of the ski. And we take high tensile aluminum, like Head used way back after World War II, or pre-cured sheet of fiberglass, or both. And if you sandwich them apart by a lighter weight core, you can get the stiffness and strength of the ski.
And that's important when you're skiing.
This makes the structural beam of the ski. And these other materials are important. You need polyethylene to slide on the snow surface. You need a steel edge to give a sharp biting edge in the ice.
Now, how important is the structure versus the shape
Well,
of the
really,
ski?
as a skier, you're more concerned with the external parts of the ski, the shape and the bending, stiffness of the ski, and so forth. For instance, this little sample has a very exaggerated side curvature to it. If you put this ski at an edge to a surface and press in the middle with your weight, you reverse bend that ski into a turn.
So it bends backwards, and what happens then?
Right. Well, if I can show it better on the surface here, which kind of simulates snow. If we're flat, the ski would run straight. But when you bend it in a reverse curve by putting your weight in the middle, the ski wants to carve into a very long radius turn.
So you just then have to put your weight on the edge, and the ski will make its own little turn.
That's right.
And that's what helps you make those turns.
Right. Well, this makes quite a long turn. It's very important to the racer because the racer who makes nice carved turns is going to dissipate the least amount of energy.
But it's just important to me, the amateur skier.
Sure, because it's helping you turn. You may make tighter turns by skidding a little in the back.
So much for theory. To find out if this actually works in practice, we went out to a ski slope and applied these mechanical principles, and this is what happened. Unfortunately, the last time I'd been on skis was 10 years ago, and at that time, I wasn't about to win any medals. I'm skiing! My skis felt a lot more comfortable than they did years ago, but it was how easily they turned that was really exciting. Whoa! Great turn! How can a ski turn so well like that?
However, it's all right in the ski. The side of the ski is a long arc.
The curved side of the ski is actually part of a circle with a radius of 150 to 200 feet. You mean if you let the ski turn on its own, it would make an arc that big, huh?
Yes, it would make a very long carving arc, providing you put it on an edge and put some weight against it.
So what if you don't want to turn in such a long arc, you want to make a shorter arc?
Normally you want to make a much smaller radius, especially when you're learning. So then you just put your weight forward a little more, and the tail of the ski will slide a little more than the front.
John showed me how, by angling both his knee and his hip, he can put his ski on edge. Then the ski will naturally carve an arc the shape of its side cut. If he puts his weight forward, the ski will skid into an even tighter turn. He controls his direction by shifting his weight. Weight on his left ski, and he turns right. Weight on his right ski, and he's off to the left. Let me try to make my wedge here. Get my skis to
Just hold yourself back with the poles.
behave the way I want them to.
Okay. And then just,
That feels comfy.
and just roll the knees out a little and pick the poles up and start to slide. Have the weight pretty much even on both ski now. And put the knee in a little bit, put the weight on it, and go right around. Put the knee in, put the weight on it, and go right around.
I'm turning!
Put more weight on
turning!
it. More weight on it. More weight on it. Good. Okay. Nothing to it. Easiest thing in the world. Now let's do one to the right and one to the left.
Enough of this little hill stuff. I'm ready for the mountain. Let's go. Piece of cake. Who said skiing was so tough?
See you in the lodge, Ira.
Thank you, John Howe, for making ski mountains a little less terrifying. We'll shush on to the rest of the show in just a minute. unknown objects you could neither see nor feel, how would you go about doing it? Well, that basically was the problem presented to high school students who were asked to compute the number of helium atoms that fill up the Goodyear blimp. The prize to those who came up with the answer was a ride aboard the blimp in Florida. How did it all turn out? That's what we wanted to know. So we traveled to Pompano Beach to meet the winners and learn the answer. Goodyear, DuPont, and Chem Matters magazine sponsored the contest, entered by over 1,400 chemistry students from across the country. How many helium atoms are there inside the Goodyear blimp? It may sound like an impossible problem, but these three high school students made it seem as easy as 1, 2, 3. Before receiving their well-deserved ride on the blimp, there was plenty of time for pictures and tours with the pilots. But what do you need to know about the blimp to answer the question? Well, we'll give you some clues. First, you need to know that the blimp can hold 202,700 cubic feet of helium. Second, you need to know that the pressure inside the airship is greater than the atmospheric pressure by 1.38 inches of water. And third, you need to know the air pressure and temperature at 5,000 feet, which is the maximum altitude the ship could fly without venting helium. Now, knowing all these facts, how long should it take you to figure out the answer?
Oh, it doesn't take that long. It took me about 25 minutes, maybe.
About 20 minutes. Took longer to write up.
But for most of us who have long ago forgotten our high school chemistry lesson, we don't have the faintest idea about how to turn these facts into a correct answer. Where do you begin?
I used the ideal gas law, which is PV equals nRT, where P is pressure, V is volume.
Equals number of moles times the temperature times the constant, which is the ideal gas constant. And the hardest part of the whole thing
would be to take the data and convert all the data into the units of the ideal gas law.
Got that? Now put it all together and you've got the solution.
The answer is 1.26 times 10 to the 29th, and that's really a giant number, because if you wrote it out, you'd have to write 1, 2, 6, and then 27 zeros after it. And I don't think you can really just think of a number like that.
I don't know how to say that in regular terms. I've heard rumors that it was maybe a billion trillion, but I'm not certain.
My chemistry teacher kind of gave me a good analogy for it, and it's that if you had 10 to the 23rd garden peas, just little peas that you eat for dinner, they would cover the earth 3 feet deep. So it's 1,000,000 times that many. So it's a lot of helium atoms.
And to prove just how big 1.26 times 10 to the 29th really is, the winners stretched out the zeros for all to see. No matter how you look at it, it takes an awful lot of helium atoms to fill the Goodyear blimp. As for the prize, how about a ride on the blimp filled with all that helium? It takes 22 people about 20 minutes to prepare for a liftoff. And because we don't have that much time, here's a high-speed condensed version of pre-flight prep, liftoff, and landing. Once the ship was in the air, operation seemed very easy. Foot pedals made it turn right and left. An elevator wheel controls the ascent and descent. Captain Henry eagerly demonstrated how quickly the ship could climb and drop.
We roll the wheel back, the nose will go up. Into a climb, basically. You roll the wheel forward, and the nose will go down, and you'll descend. And then it will go quite steeply and quite maneuverable, if you believe it.
The captain even gave the prize winners a chance to steer the ship. The view and the ride made this chemistry lesson one they would never forget. Our next guest is one of nature's best construction engineers, a beaver, eagerly assisted by Nancy Gibson of the Minnesota Zoo. Welcome to the program, Nancy.
Thank you.
Let's leave it to you to tell us about the beaver.
Alrighty.
It's a big beaver.
This is a very big beaver. This is Bucky.
Bucky?
He's a 7-year-old male, and he's from the Como Zoo in St. Paul. And he was hand-reared, and we're lucky that he was, because he allowed us to play with him like this and show a lot of the unusual adaptations that beaver have.
Don't try this with a wild animal.
That's right. But there's just a lot of interesting things about beavers. He is a nighttime animal, so he's a little sleepy right now, but let's see if we can start with his teeth here and tempt Bucky to stand up for us.
Let's see your teeth. Oh, yeah. Going for the cracker.
Yeah, now can you see those orange teeth there?
Yeah, very fleetingly.
Yeah, fleetingly orange teeth.
Well, why does he have orange teeth?
That's a protective enamel. He's a rodent, the largest rodent in North America, and they have to always chew. Their teeth are always growing, so that enamel actually protects their teeth. And they're almost chisel-like, and of course that makes them be able to chew those trees that they're so famous for. Next, he's got these closable ears and nose, and that allows them to go underwater.
They spend a lot of time underwater.
They certainly do. And then, of course, this gorgeous fur.
Oh, very
certainly
nice.
The downfall of many beavers. Nice. Also, they've got a couple layers. We can see this outer layer that's long, and underneath is a dense underlayer called felt.
That's really where felt comes from?
Right. Except most of what you see in fabric stores is actually synthetic. But interesting, the beaver has probably shaped North American history more than any other animal.
Really?
It's affected where people settled because they wanted to have a good beaver trade, fur trade there. And also they'd use the beaver pelts as currency. And there's a lot of trading going on with beavers. Then let's get down to this interesting foot that he's got. If you'll let us take a look here.
Okay, come on, Bucky. Let's see your foot.
Oh,
it's very leathery.
Yeah, very leathery and quite webbed. And also there's a split nail right there, and they use that for grooming.
You mean they really like to make them preen themselves
and
make sure the fur is
keep their fur
straight?
in very good shape. Then of course this tail is so interesting.
This is a real interesting. Now the thing is, it's scaly. You know, it's like it has little fish scales on it.
That's right.
It's not smooth.
That's right. And they'll use this for a rudder to manipulate through the water, and they'll also use it to slap on the water in case there's danger around. And also it stores fat. And in fact, some Native Americans actually ate the tail.
Now, of course, beavers are famous for cutting down trees and building dams, and I don't understand any about this being a city boy, so I want you to tell me what they're doing when they do all this stuff.
Great. We have a videotape from the Minnesota Zoo.
Okay.
And we see our dominant male here about to cut a tree. And last year, during the fall season, our colony of 10 beavers actually cut down almost 800 trees.
The colony's 800 trees?
That's right.
That's a lot of trees.
Now, we actually bolt the trees into the ground, and they will come over and try to lift them out first, but of course we try to do that pretty tight. So they're rather smart. Now watch his timber.
Get out of the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Smart enough to get out of the way now.
He gets out of the way.
All right, now he's cut the tree down.
He's cut the tree down using those sharp teeth. Now he's going to go underwater. And first thing you're going to see, he's going to go over his dam.
All right, let's stop you right there. Why do they build a dam? I don't understand why.
They build a dam in order to keep the water deep so it doesn't freeze.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And that way they can get underwater to their food cache, which is what they're preparing for right now. They will arrange all of these aspens, alders, and willows in a arrangement so they can get under the water and eat off them during the wintertime, especially the young ones. The adults will slow down the metabolism in the wintertime, live off some of that fat in their tail.
So they don't live in the dam then? They just use that to... Where do they live?
They live in a lodge.
Of course, where would a beaver live? But in a lodge.
Right. They always have an underwater entrance to the lodge, and that's another protective reasoning for the dam. It's very deep.
I get it. Okay.
Bucky, you want to wake up here? And another interesting thing about beavers is, they're wonderful conservationists. They've really made homes for about 50 different types of animals.
Oh, so other animals depend on beavers for their homes.
That's right. And also, they're nature's conservationists. They are using them now to control erosion and also control water, make stable water levels.
Because they're such good dam builders. Why have the Army Corps of Engineers build a dam when you could have a beaver?
You've got Bucky right here.
Very, very interesting. Well, that seems to be...
Very content now that he's eating.
And of course, they're not the kind of animals you want to bring home and make pets out of.
No, and they're not endangered, but they certainly have been pushed almost to extinction because of their fur trade. But now they have it under control and they do manage it. And the beavers are from all over, most of North America and into Mexico, Alaska, Canada, Europe. Really widespread animal.
Very, very interesting. Well, thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Bucky, for being so cooperative.
My name is Harrison Cohen, and I'm a Chicagoan, and I have a baseball question for Newton's Apple on the use of aluminum baseball bats. My question is, what advantage do these bats give to the average player?
Good question. Of course, physics tells us that aluminum bats give batters an advantage. But to understand the science, you've got to get the mechanics down first. think you could teach me how to swing this bat and become a real hitter?
Well, I can just show you what I've learned so far in my career.
All right, what's important?
Okay, first of all, are you a right-hand hitter or left?
I'm a right-hand hitter.
Okay, so your right eye is the dominant eye. So you want to open yourself up and make sure that you can see the pitcher. See the ball out of the pitcher's hands. Make sure you can see everything. Don't let your nose, your nose can get in the way. And
especially
like
my nose, it'll get in the way of playing.
Well, anybody's nose can get in the way, but you want to make sure you can see the ball at all times. Okay, you get in a position to stay. I lift my front leg, okay, and it makes my waist stay back. I'm trying to get my hands from here to here. You want to get right there.
You want to bring that bat around quickly, right?
You're not going to always do it. Sometimes the pitcher's going to get in on you and things like that. So you just do the best you can. I understand you haven't hit in a while, so it'll be a lot of fun.
You think I can take a few swings and you can tell me what I'm doing wrong?
Sure, go ahead. A lot of
see.
pine tar on there. You can try it.
All right. Now, I get comfortable with the bat, right?
Get comfortable.
When I get comfortable.
Okay.
Then I want to get my batting eye, the right eye, pointed out toward the pitcher.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And now I want to find a way that I can bring the bat around quickly.
That's it. From there to the front. That's it.
Around there quickly. That doesn't look so tough.
That's not tough at all.
I'm ready for Ron Guidry, I think.
Well, let's go get him then. What do you think?
Let's go ahead. Luckily, Ron Guidry was busy, so Twins coach Tom Kelly volunteered to step in, and he seemed to be a little more my speed.
Stay in there. Stay back. Oh, geez. You're swinging everything like me.
I got a piece of 6 of 20 pitches.
I don't know, Ira. I think you better stick to TV.
And this was my hit.
Come on, hit one good for me right here.
Hey!
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, buddy, you're welcome. Right?
Thanks for your help.
All right.
And they laughed when I stepped up to the plate. Actually, hitting a baseball is one of the most difficult feats in all of sports, and some people believe that the use of a metal baseball bat can actually make you a better hitter. Is there any truth to this belief? Waiting on deck with the answer is Dr. Howard Brody, professor of physics at the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia. Welcome to the program again, Dr. Brody. Now, you study the impact of the ball and bat, right?
That's right.
Now, do you believe that the metal bat makes it easier to be a better hitter?
Yes, I think you'll get more power out of a metal bat.
Why do you say that?
Because you can make a metal bat lighter than a corresponding wooden bat.
But I always thought you want a heavy bat. You want to get up there with the biggest piece of lumber that you have.
No,
that's not right.
This bat is already 6 times the weight of that ball. If you make it 7 times heavier, you'll hardly influence how much momentum is transferred to the ball.
So then what influences how fast the ball is going to go when you hit it?
The bat speed. And we can demonstrate that now.
All
I'm
right.
going to release this bat, hit the ball, and then the distance the ball travels will tell you how fast the ball has been hit.
What's the science that we're talking about here?
We're transferring momentum or energy from the bat to the ball.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'll watch.
Here we go.
Looks like about 7.
All right.
What about here to me?
Now I'm going to take this 28-ounce bat and convert it into a 36-ounce bat by putting this weight on it.
So we're effectively making the bat heavier.
Right. But I'm going to release it from the same place so it'll have the same speed when it hits. Ready?
Go ahead. Whoa. I'd say about only 8 at the most.
It just went up a little bit.
Just a little bit. And I would have thought that it would have gone a lot further. So it's not the weight of the bat
That's
that
right. Now what I'll do is move this marker back a few inches and release the bat from here. It'll now have a slightly higher speed when it hits the ball. And let's see what happens.
Ball goes up to about 11.
Right.
It went a lot farther. That means a lot faster.
Right. So the slightly higher bat speed ended up with a much higher ball speed, which means the ball will go over the fence more often, go by the infielders much more quickly.
Yeah, but there were guys like Babe Ruth who used to use very heavy bats, and then he hit home runs all the time.
Well, Babe Ruth was a great big man, and he had tremendously strong shoulders, arms, and chest. For the average person, a lighter bat can be swung faster, and I can demonstrate this to you.
All right.
We have here a radar gun that I can measure your bat speed, and if you'll swing that heavy wooden bat...
All right, everybody stand back. No need to. Notice my umpire here. He's the only umpire in the world that you can call a dummy and get away with. Sorry about that. Here we go.
Okay, I'm ready to time it.
Here we go.
That's 45 miles an hour.
Not bad.
Now you want to try the aluminum bat, which is about 8 ounces lighter.
All right, let's try the aluminum bat.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. You ready?
I'm ready.
Is everybody ready? Here we go.
53 miles an hour. That's pretty good, Ira.
Not bad. It was really a lot faster than the wooden bat there.
So by going to the lighter bat, you got a higher bat speed.
Now, why can't you just make a wooden bat lighter instead of going to a metal bat?
Well, you can make a lighter wooden bat, but it would have some disadvantages.
For example?
I could make a very thin bat, but then you'd never hit the ball.
It'd be too skinny.
Right. I could hollow out the bat, but that's illegal. I could cut a nick out of the end, but that would hardly save you any weight. Or I could make a much shorter bat to save weight.
Well, this Little League bat, it's short. You'd never hit the low outside pitch with this.
That's right.
It's too short.
So what you do is go to an aluminum bat. And here's an example of an aluminum bat that's been cut.
This is it. This is amazing. There's really nothing inside of it.
Right. Sometimes you can fill that with a foam just to deaden the sound. But this is a full-size, full-length bat which weighs considerably less than the corresponding wooden bat.
Well, why don't the major league teams just give in and go to the metal bat?
Well, they're afraid that pitchers would be injured.
Really?
As it is right now, if you hit a line drive right at the pitcher, he just has barely enough time to get out of the way. You go to a better bat, that ball will get to the pitcher faster. He wouldn't have time to get out of the way. The pitcher will be injured.
That little difference would count then.
That's right. The second thing is that all the records that have been accumulating for 100 years would be destroyed by the aluminum bat.
It'd have to have a little asterisk on the records that say a post-aluminum period.
That's right.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Brody, for coming and pinch hitting for us today. We're going to swing away right into our next part of the program in just a minute.
More party trivia. Fascinating fact, number 78. Beetles. Thousands of domestic beetles are chewing away at collections in museums throughout the world. The insects are not a menace. They're professional cleaning crews. With voracious appetites, the beetles are efficient at cleaning skeletons being prepared for display. They are picky eaters, preferring to work on lizards but detesting snakes.
Like my new shades, you may enjoy wearing polarizing sunglasses like I do, but how many of us really understand what's going on inside the little sunglasses there? What does polarizing mean? What's it all about? Well, here to help us understand this common everyday phenomenon is Ruth Gaiman from the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago. Welcome to the program, Ruth. What is happening inside sunglasses like these?
Well, polarized light is light that vibrates in a single direction.
A single direction? What do you mean by that?
Well, that's a little confusing. Let's see first what polarized light is.
Okay.
We have here a polarizer, just like in your sunglasses.
It looks like I'm looking through the lens.
Just like you're looking through the sunglasses. You turn it, nothing happens.
Nothing happens.
But if we take a second polarizer,
gets a little darker.
A little darker. Turn one of those.
Turn one. Look at that.
Now it gets dark.
It blocks out the light totally. Is this what's happening inside my sunglasses?
Somewhat. Let's explain a little further with an analogy over here.
Okay.
This is an analogy of what we just saw, the two polarizers in opposite directions. These pieces of glass with the slits in them will be our polarizers, and this spring will help us to explain light. Light is a wave, and if you make a wave on here, you're making a wave analogous to light wave. Now, light waves, before they get to a polarizer, can vibrate in any direction. Sideways, up and down, in all directions. But when it goes through this slit, the spring can only vibrate in one direction, and only the vertical waves can come through. This is what we call polarized waves.
So when the light goes through one of my lenses here, that's what happens.
The waves come out in vibrating in one direction. If we now put a second polarizer in front of the first, going in the opposite direction, only the horizontal waves will go through. But the vertical waves cannot, and there should be no waves coming through at all on this side.
So that's like looking through both of the polarizing filters.
Like looking through both of the polarizers, no waves come through.
Yeah, but Ruth, you have to explain something. I don't have two polarizing filters. I only have one on my glasses. What's the analogy here?
Well, first let's say how these are not like your polarizers. Your polarizers in your sunglasses do not really have little slits in them.
I don't see little slits in them.
They're actually made of a plastic material that absorbs part of the light and lets part of the light through.
Okay, now how do you explain only one lens on here?
Well, when you look through it, you're trying to get rid of glare, the reflected light off of the roadway or off of water if you're fishing. That glare is already polarized.
It is? How's it polarized? Just by bouncing
By
off?
reflection at a certain angle, that light is polarized.
So then if these lenses up here are polarized in the other direction, that glare doesn't get through.
Exactly.
And so you have Mother Nature helping you out then. All right, very good, Ruth. Now, tell me, there must be some wonderful other uses you can do for polarizing lenses.
Well, sunglasses are only the tip of the iceberg with polarized light. Let me show you something else we have over here. Lyra, what do you think we have here?
It looks like a beautiful piece of stained glass to me.
There's no stain and no glass in here.
Are you kidding? What is inside of that?
Now, what's in here is just little pieces of cellophane tape cut, overlapped into this shape.
You mean these tiny little pieces are clear cellophane tape?
Clear cellophane tape like you can buy in a store.
Well, how do you get the colors in there?
Sandwiched between two polarizers. So the question is not only why do you see color, but why can you see light at all? Try turning it and see if you can block out that light.
You're right. This is beautiful. If the polarizers are in here, I should be able to block out the light like I did at the front table. But I'm just changing the colors. What's going on?
Well, the light coming from the back enters one polarizer. It then is vibrating in only one direction.
Right.
But when it hits the tape, that direction is twisted by the
the
material in the tape, and it can now get through the second polarizer.
So that's how it gets out between the two polarizers. But why does the light have the colors here? Where do the colors come from?
Well, they're not really in the tape, they're in the light itself. Light is a mixture of all colors of the rainbow. And as the light comes through the tape, different colors by the layers are being twisted different amounts, allowing different colors to come out as you turn the polarizer.
This is beautiful. This is beautiful. But is there some practical use you could make besides nice stained glass windows like this?
Oh yes, many things will twist the light and show colors between the polarizers. We can study crystals this way in a polarized light microscope.
So these are crystals under the microscope.
Under ordinary light, they would just look black and white or would be perfectly clear. You wouldn't see them at all. The polarizers allow us to see them and to study the different structures of the crystals.
Now, what other kind of wonderful uses can you do with polarizing light?
Oh, it's used all the time. For engineers, use it for stress analysis. It's used in photography, for filters, and even for 3D glasses.
The old 3D glasses, well, these aren't like the old ones. The old ones had a little red and green filter in it. These just have polarizing filters?
Just polarizers. Unlike your sunglasses, one filter goes one way, one the other way, so that they can project the movie in polarized light with two projectors.
Well, thank you very, very much, Ruth. This has been very enlightening. We'll be back with the rest of the program in just a minute. Back in the audience now for our next question, and this time it comes from
Gus File.
Gus, you had an interesting question. Why don't you share it with everybody?
Yes, I'd like to know what happens when we dream.
You dream a lot, Gus?
Not too often.
But you like to know what happens when you do, right? Yeah. Good question. Here to answer that question is Dr. Jan Siri, biologist from McAllister College in St. Paul. Good to see you again, Jan.
Thank you.
I see you have Ernie's got a little bear with you.
Well, we're going to talk about sleep. So
Is that
he
cute?
wanted to bring his bear.
Okay, well, anything that makes him feel well. Let's talk about sleep and dreaming. What's going on here?
Well, we don't know very much about what happens when you dream, but we do know that there's as much electrical activity in your brain when you're dreaming as there is when you're awake.
Okay, so there is something going on.
Yeah, there is. Ernie brought his brain here to talk about this a little bit. The electrical activity that's going on is going on here in the cortex. That's where you think. But if we look a little bit deeper into the brain, down here into the brain stem, this is actually where dreaming is triggered.
Really?
Yeah.
There's a spot in the brain for that.
Yep. Now, when you're dreaming, or when you're awake, and you want to do something, like let's say Ernie wanted to take a bite out of an apple.
Right.
The cortex up here would be active, and it would send an impulse down the spinal cord out the nerves here to the arm, and he would then raise the apple to his mouth and he would take a bite.
Right.
Okay. Now, he can be dreaming about taking a bite of an apple, but somewhere, and we don't really know where, there's a blockage, which he can have that dream up here, but the impulses don't get down into the body, and so you don't act out the dreams that you're having.
Is that what happens when you have a nightmare and you want to scream, but you try, you can't scream? Is it being blocked like that?
Yeah, well, there's no real way to know, but that's what people think, is that you're really effectively paralyzed, and it gives your dreams a sort of a slow motion kind of feel.
Well, if you're paralyzed, how come people are sleepwalking? Is that an acting out of the dream?
Well, no, I think people think that, but it isn't actually. You don't dream all the time. You dream during a stage called REM, R-E-M, because that's for rapid eye movement, because your eyes are moving back and forth. But there are other stages of sleep, in stage 1 through 4, as you get deeper and deeper and deeper into sleep. And people don't usually report dreams during these stages. And stage 4, the deepest stage of sleep, is when you sleepwalk. So you're not really dreaming. It's a different phenomenon.
So why do we dream? I mean, what purpose does dreaming serve?
There's been a lot of research on why we dream, and really nothing is known. It may be to sort out sensory input that we've had during the day. It may be random electrical activity. We probably dream for a reason, but we really don't know what that reason is.
Well, thank you very much, Jan. I think we're going to let Ernie get... You can see from his eyes he's really sleepy. We'll put him to sleep. Now it's time for a look at inventions which may be a part of your future, so pay attention. We went to the Science Museum of Minnesota for a look at the ideas of tomorrow.
Hi, my name is Derek Ashe, and the name of my invention is electrical fish light. When the spool turns, when the fish grabs the bait, the spool turns and the red flag goes up. At night, you can't see the flag, so I put a light on and you can see the light at night. This is a boot and skate. It's a combination of a boot and a skate all in one. Its purpose is to make it easier for younger children to put on the skate in the wintertime.
This is a spelling pen, and it's used to help children with spelling problems. And the 100 most commonly misspelled words are written in the pen. And if you twist it, then you can see the words and find the word you want and spell it correctly.
These are solar cells right here, and that absorbs sunlight that is transmitted into solar energy that generates power into the radio. From the radio, it goes to the earphones that produce a sound, so you can listen to the radio while wearing sunglasses without using batteries.
This is the Wiffer mitten, and the purpose is to take loose hair off the dog. And first you go down the dog with the brush, and after that you turn it over and you go down the dog with a tape, and it picks up the loose hair. You can use it for dogs or cats. My invention is a dual dry, and its purpose is to dry wet boots. There's a fan in the bottom that outputs 30 square feet of air per minute.
My invention is the late night readers for when you want to read in the dark and you don't want to have to go and turn off the lights.
This is a Sunny Breeze solar fan, and the purpose of this invention is to cool you off while you're working outdoors or taking a tan. This is the Youth Adjustable Ski Pole. You can make it longer or shorter by changing these bolts. My invention is tracker golf balls, and it's a golf ball with a thin layer of aluminum inside of it. And if you hit your golf ball into the weeds, you have a metal detector that fits right into an old golf club. My invention is the crutch tote. It is to help handicapped or injured people carry magazines or books. This is the Overseas. Helps to see over tall people at ball games.
Both of our next two guests are hardy travelers. This beautiful bird and Nancy Gibson of the Minnesota Zoo. Nice to see you, Nancy.
Thank you, Ira.
What is this beautiful bird?
This is a peregrine falcon.
This is a peregrine falcon.
Right, and her name is Jenny. She's an immature bird, about a year old.
And why do they call them peregrine falcon? What does peregrine mean?
Well, it's a word that means wandering or migrating. Peregrine falcons like to migrate.
What do you mean they like to migrate? How far will they migrate?
Well, they'll nest in some of the normal climates like Canada, and then travel as far south sometimes as Argentina. Peregrines until about the 1950s were some of the most successful birds because they lived in every continent. But with the introduction of toxic chemicals, there's been a lot of problems.
So they're on the endangered list then?
Very endangered list. But this bird is the jet of the bird world.
The jet.
Right, let's see if we can get Jenny to demonstrate those.
Why do you say jet? It flies real quickly?
Very fast. They've got
How
long,
fast
narrow wings and long tails, and they can go over speeds of 200 miles an hour.
200? What are you chasing at 200 miles an hour?
Other birds.
That makes sense.
Right. That's
so,
their main
so
source.
they grab them with their claws and
what they
squash them
do,
to
they
death?
will soar over the open ground, and then once they see some prey, they'll go do a few rapid wing beats and then tuck their wings in. That will decrease the air resistance, and then they will plunge toward Earth, going over 200 miles an hour, and then kick their prey with a clenched fist.
They just stun them?
Just stun
Knock them out a little bit?
Knock them out, and they'll probably fall to the ground. Or if they're small birds, they'll take them midair.
Oh, nature's dive bomber.
That's right. And look at that beak. That's uniquely designed to actually snap the vertebrae.
It's got a little notch in it, yeah.
Very much so.
But you said they were on the endangered species list,
Very,
so there must be very few of them left, right?
That's right. And there's a lot of people trying to make the peregrine falcon come to the skies again. And the Nature Conservancy, the Bell Museum, and the University of Minnesota Raptor Program have all put together a great program here. We've got some wonderful footage. This is a mature female, and you can see she's kind of got that blue color.
Yes, I was going to say, she looks blue, and the one we have here,
Jenny we have here is immature. She's only a year old.
I see. So they become bluer as they
Right.
get older.
This is Bob Anderson. He's a falconer who has just dedicated countless hours in trying to work with the peregrine falcons. He has a first-class facility at his home there, and he uses her, and of course, the end result are chicks.
Ooh, you mean those little chicks are bred in somebody's house? They're not bred at the zoo or anything?
Not at the zoo, no. They're all down at his home, and these are all less than 24 hours old.
Oh, they're pretty little birds. Now, what's that little noise that birds are making?
Well, that's the young boy they're making that noise, and what he's trying to do is simulate the noise that the mother would make before she would feed them. And also what they're doing is a situation called double clutching.
No, but not a truck driver.
No,
They're
not a truck
driving
driver.
Okay.
Right. What they are doing, they will take the first set of eggs from the nest and then put them in these incubators, hoping that the birds will breed again, and that increases their percentages of having a...
Two for the price of one.
Right.
Okay. So then they have to take these birds and raise them with a different kind of bird.
That's exactly what's happening here. It's a surrogate mother. This is a prairie falcon, and the chicks there are about 6 to 8 days old right there.
And the
she
prairie
will
falcon will take the birds on, even though it's not the same kind of bird.
That's right. And from there, they will go on to a wild captive pair that will then continue to raise them. And believe it or not, they're going to be heading to downtown Minneapolis.
Wait a minute. Downtown, last time we released birds, remember we went out in the wilds, we went into the bushes, into the woods, and we released a couple of owls.
Right.
This bird's going downtown?
Going downtown.
Why? What's there downtown?
Well, these tall buildings simulate the wild rock ledges and cliffs. So they're very high. And of course, there's a great source of food down there, pigeons.
Pigeons? These birds eat pigeons?
That's right.
I want to take them home with me. I could use a couple of
Well,
these
there are
birds
a lot of
around
different
me.
birds in different cities. As a matter of fact, New York City has a couple of pairs. And here you can see we're in downtown Minneapolis. This is a hack box.
A hack box?
Hack box. And the falcons will go in there for approximately 10 days. They're about a little over a month old at this point. And they will stay there, and then pretty soon that door is going to be open, and they will be soaring around downtown Minneapolis, looking for pigeons.
And then do they come back to the box, or do they start making their own nests or
They'll
something?
come back to the box for quite a few days, because there's always going to be food there, and we're trying to encourage them to come back. And once the fall comes, they're going to start heading south to go to that migration again.
So if you want to see a peregrine falcon, go downtown. Don't
That's
go
right.
into the woods.
That's great. And Jenny, as a matter of fact, is going to be the mother of several of the birds that we are going to be reintroducing back into the wild.
Well, Jenny, let me wish you a lot of luck in being a mother. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Jenny, for wandering in here today. That's about all the time we have for now. In fact, this is the end of the season of Newton's Apple. We hope you enjoyed the program, and we look forward to seeing you again. I'm Ira Flato. So long for Newton's Apple.
Newton's Apple is made possible by a grant from DuPont, makers of better things for better living. And also by this station and other public television stations.